Maths on Friday. So we start with Flashback Friday. Remember, Friday's starter is a little bit different. Today, just like last Friday, we're going to have two questions. And there'll be similar questions, and there'll be more of our wordy, more problem solving type of questions. So, question number one: 3 pineapples cost the same as 2 mangoes. 1 mango costs £1.35. How much does 1 pineapple cost? So if you want to, you can pause the video and do that question now, or you can wait for the second question and do them both at the same time. Question number 2. 5 pencils cost the same as 3 pens. 1 pen costs £1.80. How much does 1 pencil cost? Pause the video. So let's do the answers. Remember, it's very important that you read these questions. So what we know from these questions, we can always draw as well, remember? So 3 pineapples equal 2 mangoes. So I know 1 mango costs £1.35. So 1 mango, £1.35. The question up here, remember this is the original, is talking about 2 mangoes. So another mango would also be £1.35. So I could do £1.35 times 2, or I can add them together. We've got £2.70. So I now know 2 mangoes, £2.70. 3 pineapples cost the same as 2 mangoes, so I know that 3 pineapples also cost £2.70. Question says, how much does 1 pineapple cost? So if 3 cost £2.70, I must divide this number by how many there are to get 1. So £2.70 divided by 3. 3 into 2 doesn't go. 3 into 27, 9. 3 into 0, 0. So that leaves us 0.90. So our answer is either 0.90 with a pound sign there, or 90p. Do not put p here because you've got this pound sign to represent how many pounds it is, because it's £0 and 90 pence. Or you can write 90 pence. So that is that one. The bottom one, very similar method. So 5 pencils cost the same as 3 pens. So our 5 pencils cost the same as 3 pens. I know that 1 pen is £1.80. I need to find out how much 3 pens cost. So I could add it up 3 times, or I can times it by 3. Let's times it by 3 this time. We added last time. 3 times 0, 0. 3 times 8. I don't know what you do in your head. Do you do the 3 times table, or do you do the 8 times table? I don't know. I kind of feel if you do the 8 times table, you only got to do it 3 times. But if you do the 3 times table, you got to do it 8 times. Or unless you know your times tables immediately, which is obviously what we want to do. So 3 times 8 was 24, isn't it? 3 times 1, 3, 4, 5. So now I have 3 pens, cost £5.40. 5 pencils cost the same as 3 pens. This is not a tally, this is pencils. Also cost £5.40. So I need how much 1 pencil costs. So this divided by how many there are, which is 5. 5 into 5, well that's 1, isn't it? Done that one. 5 into 4, can't do. 5 into 40 you can do. 8. So our answer is £1.08. Give yourself some ticks. If we weren't quite successful, pause the video, look through the method. How is it different to yours? And work out where perhaps we went wrong. Today's maths, obviously we've been doing a week of shapes. It is no different, but today we're moving on from 2D shapes. And we are going to do 3D shapes. So we're just going to learn about all the different types of 3D shapes that you need to know in year 6. So let's start off though. This word 3D means 3-dimensional. So a 1D shape is actually just a line, because there's 1 dimension to it. 2D shapes, they usually have a length and a width, so they have 2 dimensions. 3D shapes have 3 dimensions. So in this case, there's the 1 dimension, that's the 2D shape of the length and the width, and then there is depth. It goes back another dimension. So that's our 3rd dimension. So 1D shapes have 1 dimension, literally a line. 2D have 2 dimensions, usually a height and a width. Might call it a length and a base. And 3D have 3 dimensions. They have the same as the 2D, and then they have a depth as well. You should know some 3D shapes, I imagine you do, and we see them all of the time. And a little bit similar to our other shape work this week, we're going to learn about them. You're going to make a 3D shape poster, and then you're going to go find some 3D shapes in your house. But let's go through some of them first, because there's lots of different 3D shapes out there. Okay, the first one, which is actually quite difficult to draw. Mainly, obviously that looks like a 2D shape and it's a circle. They are quite hard to draw, so I'm going to show you this instead. It's a sphere. Okay, spheres are very special 3D shapes. Mainly because lots of 3D shapes, what we're going to look at, we'll be looking at their faces, their edges, and their vertices. And we'll discuss what these are in a minute. The thing with a sphere, because it's a ball shape, it has none of them, and none of them. You could say it has one face, goes all the way around, but that's really, it just has a surface. So our sphere has 0 edges, 0 vertices, 0 faces, 1 surface. So when we do our poster of 3D shapes, after we've learned about the 3D shapes, you're going to draw the shape, you're going to write it, and then you will write what it has. In this case, it has 1 surface, faces 0, edges 0, vertices 0. The other shapes we won't be looking at their surface, but a sphere you have to look at the surface because it is literally just one surface that goes all the way around. That's our sphere. The other ones we can sort of draw. So sphere is one of our more basic ones. Another one we should definitely know about is this one, and I've already drawn it today. If you want to know how to draw these, you do the 2D shape first, and then you join them together. So this one is our cube. Now our cube has definitely got faces, edges and vertices. So if we look at a cube, obviously I'm going to bring out a Rubik's cube. The faces I like to think about are the 2D shapes that are on the 3D shape. So a cube is made up of squares. You turn it around, there are different squares that connect it. So that's how I like to remember faces, or the shapes on it. And so a cube itself, how many faces, how many 2D shapes does it have? Well, it's got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. It has 6 faces. Edges. Now the edges, you have to think about edges as the edge of a cliff. So if I'm walking along this Rubik's Cube, and fell off, well, there's my edge. There's the edge. There's another edge, there's another edge, there's another edge. The edges of where sort of the shape sort of ends like a cliff. So you have to count all the edges. Be careful not to count them twice. So you got 1, 2, 3, 4. I've got 4 there. 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So edges 12, and then vertices. We've already talked about vertices this week, if you remember. They are the corners of a 3D shape. So the corners, so we're counting the corners as 1. Corners obviously where shapes meet. So you can see that all these different shapes meet, and they meet in the corners. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And it has 8 vertices. So this is what you're going to do in your book. You're going to discover some shapes, and you're going to write down the faces, the edges and the vertices. So let's write down what these mean again. So vertices are the corners. Edges, kind of like, imagine a cliff and you're falling off. But don't imagine falling off, actually. Imagine it's a small Rubik's Cube and you jumped off. So you're going to discover them. I'm going to give you the shapes. I'm going to give you all the shapes. I'm going to talk about all these shapes, but I'm not going to give you the faces, the edges and the vertices. You then need to go and discover them for yourselves. Now there's a couple of ways you can discover. You can go and find the items in your house, because that's going to be a job anyway, is to find items. So you could go and do that first, because there are going to be lots of different shapes. Or you can look at the drawings that I'm going to attempt for you and try and work out through the drawings what kind of, how many faces, edges and vertices there are. So I'm going to draw all the shapes for you, and you will then do a poster. So I'll keep these 2 drawings on there because there's 2 on there. So we've got a sphere. Obviously, again, that's quite difficult to draw. And then we've got our cube there. So let's do the one that usually goes with a cube. Which is a cuboid. So again, a cuboid can look like that. It could be turned around. It could be all sorts of shapes. The cuboid I found in my house is actually this game I've got called Map on Nose. So it's quite a thin cuboid, but it is a cuboid because you can see a cube itself is made up of different squares. That's how I look at the faces, but the faces on a cuboid are made up of rectangles. So I'd say a cuboid is just the 3D version of a rectangle. A cube is the 3D version of a square, and sphere is a 3D version of a circle. That's sometimes how I remember them. So cuboid, you will write down, remember, the faces, the edges, and the vertices. So find a cuboid in your house, or try and use my picture, or find one on the internet. Okay, the next one is this shape. You can see what that is. And that shape is a cylinder. So again, you'll look at this one, the faces, the edges, the vertices. I will talk you through them, I won't give you any numbers. So I did find a cylinder. It's this can of chickpeas I found. So if you have a can, you have a cylinder. And so if we look at this one, you can see a cylinder is made up of a circle, another circle, and then we've got this large, and it won't really look like it, but it's a large rectangle. So when we do something called nets, which is when you open a 3D shape, this would look like a rectangle. And what you have to remember, if you look at this, it goes all the way around. There's no edges in the middle. So this is actually one face that goes round. So you have to think about the faces of all the different sort of, I'd say, 2D shapes. So I will help you a little bit with this one. So I can see there's a circle there. That's a face. There's a face. And there's another face that goes all the way around. That kind of helps you with that one. Vertices, well, have a look. Can you see any corners? Edges, well, it's where they fall off. Where they fall off, okay? Is that edge the same as that edge? Well, it goes all the way around. It's all connected. So it would be, wouldn't it? So there's your edges. There's your cylinders. So if you have a cylinder in your house, if you have a tin of soup, tin of beans, tin of something, you'll be able to do that one. The next one looks like this 3D shape. What is it? It's a cone. Now for the next few shapes, I've looked around my house and I've struggled to find these ones. So if you need to go and find a picture online, or you can use mine, please go and find a picture of the correct shape. So a cone, if you have a look, you can see it has got vertices, or has it got a vertex? If we think about it, there's definitely an edge, and there are faces. Think about it. We've got a circle there, and the cone itself will go all the way around there without stopping. Lots of them meet at the top. And if I was to take a stroll down there, ooh, what would happen there? So think about the faces, edges, and vertices of a cone. Okay, next shape. It's be quite difficult to draw, actually. Let's give it a go, though. Not bad. Do you know what this is? So you might be saying this word, pyramid, which you're correct. This is a very specific one. This is a square-based pyramid. Because, look at the base, it's made of a square. So you can have other ones. You can have rectangular-based pyramids. You can have triangular pyramids that have a triangle at the bottom. You can have hexagonal-based pyramids. You can have pentagonal-based pyramids. And all that means is the base of it, just think of the 2D shape. So if it was a pentagonal-based pyramid, it would have a pentagon at the bottom. So pyramids, this one's a square-based pyramid. Think about the faces, edges, and vertices. So it's got a square there at the bottom, isn't it? And then it's got a triangle there, a triangle there, a triangle there, and another triangle over there. That's how many faces it's got. Think about its vertex, its vertices, where they meet. So, well, they're all meeting up there, aren't they? And then do they meet anywhere else? And then edges, think about the edges. You're strolling along and, okay, where are the edges? So again, you might be able to find a pyramid in your house. You might have something pyramid shape. I don't at the moment. And then we're going to move on from pyramid to prisms. Now prisms, you can see it's plural because prisms are They're not complex, but we need to get our head around them. So first of all, I'm going to point out this, that a cylinder is a type of prism. A cuboid is a type of prism. This is also a type of prism. Hopefully you can see that shape. I think of this one, so this one is a triangular prism. You can probably guess why. Triangles at the end. A cuboid is really actually a square prism. It's got squares at the end. A cylinder is a bit of a circle prism because it's got circles at the end. So a prism, how a prism works, is a prism has two faces, one at each end of a shape. So this one is a triangular one. You can have, as I said, the square one. You can have pentagonal ones. See if I can actually draw a pentagonal prism to show you what I'm talking about. There we go, that would be better to make it more 3D. Okay, just about got there. That one's quite difficult. So you might be able to see there's a pentagon here and a pentagon there, which makes it a pentagonal prism. And the thing with prisms, so how they're made up with the shape at the end, and then they're made up of rectangles in between. So this is a triangle prism. So triangle this end, and then there's a rectangle there, a rectangle at the base, and a rectangle on the other side. Pentagonal prism, shape on the end, and then you have rectangles, one there, one there, one there, one there, and then one on that side over there. Made up of rectangles. That's why cuboid, you have that there, and it's made up of rectangles that go all the way around. So prism just has shape, rectangles joining it up there, and that's your prisms. So they're all the shapes we need to know. You can explore prisms further because you have more different types of prisms. I will put the link of Maths is Fun again. And I'll link it to the 3D shapes, and if you click on the 3D shape you can find out a little bit more about it. So this is your task for today. Task 1, 3D shape poster. So I need you to draw the shape as best you can. Name the shape, and then you need to write down how many faces, edges, and vertices they have. Task number 2, home. Go and search your home for these different shapes. Okay. Now, I suppose the real challenging task would be to find one of each. If you could do that, that would be unbelievable. There's even more prisms, there's even more pyramids, remember. So maybe you could find one of each. If you cannot, that's fine, but I still want you to try and find 10 items. And you can draw them, you can label them, or you can just write a list of the items that you found in your house. If you don't find all the items, so for example you might not be able to find a triangular prism, you might be able to, you can actually go on the internet, go and Google what shapes that's in. So the first image that comes into my head, sometimes at Christmas, you get a Toblerone bar. Toblerone chocolate bar, and they always come in a box that look like that. So you can go and find out what shapes in real life actually look like this. So there's your task. Make a poster, draw the shape, name the shape, do all that, and then go and see if you can find them in your home, or perhaps go and find images on the internet. Which means if you wanted to find all the images on the internet, you could make a PowerPoint, and you can make a post on the PowerPoint of all the items if you wanted to. That is up to you. Off you go.